Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Ashtatarashta Shri Shrimat Abhay Charan Bhakti Vedanta Swapnapad ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Nama Acharya Shridas Thakur ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vas Adi Gaur Bhaktavrinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Radha Kund Shyama Kund Giri Govardhan ki Vrindavan Dham ki Mayapur Dham ki Ganga Mai ki Yamuna Mai ki Tulsi Devi ki Bhakti Devi ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai Nitai Gaur Pramanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So today we have the most auspicious celebration of the Krishna Janma. It's actually very amazing. We get the opportunity, we get the understanding. We are here in the Dham, and you see how nicely all the festivals are arranged. We had Balaram a week ago, Balaram Janma, and Lord Balaram, he is the servant of the Lord. He is not different from the Lord, but his mood is the mood of a serving. So the Shastra says, if we want to approach Krishna, then we have to approach Balaram. So by the mercy of Lord Balaram, we can approach Krishna. So we got the opportunity a week ago. At that time, we should have prayed for the mercy of Lord Balaram, of Lord Nityananda, who is Lord Balaram. And we see in Gauranga Lila, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is in Puri, But he ordered Lord Nityananda then to come to the Dham, come to Bengal, and preach the holy name. And how was he preaching? Begging people. He would beg, please chant the holy name. Many of these people, they rejected it, kicked him even out, but he didn't care. He just went from house to house begging, please chant. So that's the mercy of the Lord Balaram. We see Jagai Madai, right? Lord Balaram, no, he gets hurt by Jagai. And then, no, Gauranga, Krishna himself, then he's ready to kill him. But again, it was Lord Balaram who is praying for Jagai, please don't kill. So here we are, no? So by the mercy of Lord Balaram, now we can approach Krishna. So this most auspicious day of Janmastami, Krishna Janmastami, then now we should be ready to pray, to offer service. For what? Because we want to enhance our bhakti. Because we want to serve Krishna. We want to please Krishna. By pleasing Krishna, then we also ultimately become pleased because the Lord is pleased. It's very natural way. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Now that does not mean that we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for us to be happy. We chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to please the Lord. The Lord becomes pleased, we become happy. So that's the approach of devotional service. That we should always, whatever we do, we should be trying to please the Lord. And at different levels, then we may have a little different approach, different understanding. On the level of Sakama Bhakti, then we are still trying to please or get pleasure from some elements because our realization is not fully complete, but we never forget to offer our results to the Lord. Krishna is pleased by that. It's a level of bhakti, but we should come to the higher level of bhakti, Nishkama, when we offer all the activities to the Lord, everything. And then Krishna is pleased even more. And by that understanding, by our realizations, then we come to the level of Prema Bhakti. When we are fully surrendered, we are no one else than Dasa, 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 and Dasa. So, yesterday was Adivas. Adivas is also a ceremony which is always done the day before the main program. And it's for pleasing the Lord. We show him some auspicious items. And he sees the devotees. He sees the kirtan. Not proper, yeah? Okay. Hare Krishna. Yeah? Okay. And then, so, he sees everything auspicious. He sees the devotees. he sees the devotees too eager to serve. That's very pleasing to him. And again, because he is pleased, then everybody becomes pleased. And that's the night before. So with that, then we go to sleep with the consciousness on Krishna. And then today morning, we get up thinking about, now I'm going to be serving the Lord. Now I'll serve the Lord various ways. Chanting japa. We can offer prayers to the Lord. We can offer some puja. We can offer some arati. You can go downstairs, get some pradip, offer lamp. You can participate in some programs. You can participate in the abhishek. Cleaning can be done. So everyone gets the opportunity to serve the Lord. So it's not necessarily that one has to be doing the arati, no, for the Lord to get the blessings or to get the realization. No, anything can be done. Chanting japa can be done. You can cook for the Lord. Morning announcements, they were saying they would like to cook because they want to offer to Krishna many preparations for his pleasure. So together, then we can achieve something great to please the Lord. One thing should be understood, that we are all trying to come to the level of pure devotional service. But even though we still may have some anarthas, we may have some difficulties, disregarding that, anybody can perform pure devotional service. Of course, because of our conditioning, we may not be able to perform pure devotional service all the time. Nonetheless, we can perform. For example, today, if you are decided that you want to serve the Lord, don't think about anything else. Don't forget nonsense. Forget everything. Just focus on something. And even say for a moment, be fully absorbed on doing seva for Krishna. That moment, you are performing pure devotional service. So anybody can do that. So let's try to please Krishna that way. Let's try to perform pure devotional service. So then we can please the Lord and we can make this festival very successful. It's something which anybody can do. Anybody can offer some items. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Parasavanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanevadanam. So many options. Which one will you choose? Any. And offer it to the Lord. Offer yourself to the Lord. Like Dhruva Maharaj, fully absorbed, offer. If you can do, great. So, this is a wonderful opportunity. Something which we can do. Anybody can do. I remember that once I was in Assam with Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj. We were there for his tribal preaching. And one morning, we would go to the houses of the devotees. And there was one Mataji in the house there. And no, she was crying. Now, Maharaj, he gives to all the families there. And they get pictures of Parampara, picture of Jagannath. They get Bhagavad Gita. And he gives instructions. Whatever you cook, then offer it to the Lord. And always offer a cup of water. And whatever you are offering, put a tulsi leaf. Just as simple. So, that lady was there, and she was crying. We didn't know why is she crying, what the problem is. But the people around, they were saying, she is crying because she is offering cup of water with the tulsi to Jagannath, and because she does not have anything else to offer, she is crying. So now you can see one simple tribal lady, but she was overwhelmed with devotion, a great devotee. When whoever wants can serve the Lord. The devotion can be drawn because the devotion is natural. The jiva is Satchit Ananda. The only thing which is required is the desire. So if I want, I can offer service to the Lord. And that way, then please Him. So, please try. Whatever you decide that you want to offer to the Lord today. Be it cup of water with tulsi. Be it japa. Or some bhajan. Or some arati, or some prayers, anything you decide, you offer. But at that time, just try, forget everything else, and just focus on that. Don't ask anything. Don't ask anything for it. Just to please the Lord. Try it. It's not so difficult. Or cook something. And that way, then, we can come to the level of pure devotional service. At least at that moment. So try that. And now, I'll just read from Krishna book a little bit. Because it's is the best opportunity than reading from Srila Prabhupada's books. And we will read a little bit about the birth of Lord Krishna. So, yeah, Krishna, then he appears, right? He appears to please his devotees, but also to destroy the enemies. Paritranaya sarunam, vinashaya dushkritam, dharma samstapanartaya, sambhavame yuga yuga. So he keeps appearing, and we know that. So now, by the prayers of the devotees, then Krishna is appearing. And he is, no, that's his pastime. He appears in the womb of Devaki, his devotee, to Vasudeva, who is the father. And then, so we will read from the chapter 3, where the birth of Lord Krishna is described. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his appearance, birth, and activities are all transcendental, and that one who understands them factually becomes immediately eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord's appearance of birth is not like that of an ordinary man, who is forced to accept a material body according to his past deeds. The Lord's appearance is explained in the 2nd chapter. He appears out of his own sweet pleasure. When the time was matured for the appearance of the Lord, the constellations became very auspicious. The astrological influence of the star known as Rohini was predominant. This star is considered to be very auspicious and is under the direct supervision of Brahma. According to the astrological conclusion, besides the proper situation of the stars, there are auspicious and inauspicious moments due to the different situations of the different planetary systems. At the time of Krishna's birth, the planetary systems were automatically adjusted so that everything became auspicious. At the time, in all directions, east, west, south, north, everywhere, there was an atmosphere of peace and prosperity. There were auspicious stars visible in the sky, and on the surface, in all towns and villages and pasturing grounds, and within the minds of everyone, there were signs of good fortune. The rivers were flowing full of waters, and lakes were beautifully decorated with lotus flowers. The forests were full with beautiful birds and peacocks. All the birds within the forest began to sing with sweet voices, and the peacocks began to dance along with their consorts. The wind blew very pleasantly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, and the sensation of bodily touch was very pleasing, the sense of touch. At home, the Brahmanas, who were accustomed to offering sacrifices in the fire, found their homes very pleasant for offerings. Due to the disturbances created by the demoniac kings, the sacrificial fire has been almost stopped in the houses of Brahmanas, but now they could find the opportunity to start the fire peacefully. Being forbidden to offer sacrifices, the Brahmanas had been very much distressed in mind, intelligence, and activities, but just at this point of Krishna's appearance, automatically their minds became full of joy because they could hear transcendental vibrations in the sky proclaiming the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The denizens of the Gandharva and Kinara planets began to sing. and the denizens of Siddhaloka and the planets of the Charanas began to offer prayers in the service of the personality of Godhead. In the heavenly planets, the angels and their wives, along with the Vidyadharas and their wives, began to dance. The great sages and the demigods, being pleased, began to shower flowers. At the seashore, there was the sound of mild waves, and above the sea, there were clouds in the sky which began to thunder very pleasingly. When things were adjusted like this, Lord Vishnu, who is residing within the heart of every living entity, appeared in the darkness of night as the Supreme Personality of Godhead before Devaki, who appeared as one of the demigoddesses. The appearance of Lord Vishnu at that time could be compared to the rising of the full moon over the eastern horizon. The objection may be raised that since Lord Krishna appeared on the 8th day of the Vedic moon, there could be no rising of the full moon. In answer to this, it may be said that Lord Krishna appeared in the dynasty which is the hierarchy of the moon. Therefore, although the moon was incomplete on that night, because of Lord's appearance in the dynasty wherein the moon is himself the original person, the moon was in an overjoyed condition, so by the grace of Krishna, he could appear just like a full moon. In the astronomical treatise by the name Kamanikya, the constellations at the time of the appearance of Lord Krishna are very nicely described. It is confirmed that the child born at the auspicious moment was the Supreme Brahman or the Absolute Truth. Vasudeva saw that wonderful child born as a baby with 4 hands, holding conch shell, club, disc, and lotus flower, decorated with the mark of Srivatsa, wearing the jeweled necklace of Kaustuba stone, dressed in yellow silk, appearing dazzling like a bright blackish cloud, wearing a helmet bedecked with the Vaidurya stone, valuable bracelets, earrings, and similar other ornaments all over his body, and beautified by the abundance of hair on his head. Due to the extraordinary features of this child, Vasudeva was struck with wonder. How could a newly born child be so decorated? Vasudeva could therefore understood that Krishna had now appeared, and that he became overpowered by this occasion. Vasudeva very humbly wondered that although he was an ordinary living entity, conditioned by material nature, and was externally imprisoned by Kamsa, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, Vishnu or Krishna, was appearing as a child in his home, exactly in his original position. No earthly child is born with 4 hands, decorated with ornaments and nice clothing, fully equipped with all the signs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Over and over again, Vasudeva glanced at this child, and he considered how to celebrate this auspicious moment. Generally, when a male child is born, he thought, people observe the occasion with the jubilant celebrations, and in my home, although I am imprisoned, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has taken birth. How many millions and millions of times should I be prepared to observe this auspicious ceremony? When Vasudeva, who was also called Anakadundubi, was looking at his newborn baby he was so happy that he wanted to give many thousands of cows in charity to the Brahmanas. According to the Vedic system, whenever there is an auspicious ceremony in the Kshatriya king's palace, out of joy, the king gives many things in charity. Cows decorated with golden ornaments are delivered to the Brahmanas and sages. Vasudeva wanted to perform a charitable ceremony to celebrate Krishna's appearance, but because he was shackled within the walls of Kamsa's prison, this was not possible. Instead, within his mind, he gave thousands of cows to the Brahmanas. When Vasudeva was convinced that the newborn child was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, he bowed down with folded hands and began to offer him prayers. At the time, Vasudeva was in the transcendental position, and he became completely free from all fear of Kamsa. The newborn baby was also flashing his effulgence within the room in which he appeared. Vasudeva then began to offer his prayers. My dear Lord, I can understand who you are. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super soul of all living entities, and the absolute truth. You have appeared in your own eternal form, which is directly perceived by us. I understand that because I am afraid of Kamsa, you have appeared just to deliver me from that fear. You do not belong to this material world. You are the same person who brings about the cosmic manifestation simply by glancing over material nature. One may argue that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who creates the whole cosmic manifestation simply by his glance, cannot come within the womb of Devaki, the wife of Vasudeva. To eradicate this argument, Vasudeva said, My dear Lord, it is not a very wonderful thing that you have appeared within the womb of Devaki, because the creation was also made in that way. You were lying in the causal ocean as a Mahavishnu, and by your breathing process, innumerable of universes came into existence. Then you entered into each of the universes and Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. Then again you expanded yourself as Kshirodakashayi Vishnu and entered into the hearts of all living entities and even within the atoms. Therefore, your entrance into the womb of Devaki is understandable in the same way. You appear to have entered, but you are simultaneously all-pervading. We can understand your entrance and non-entrance from material examples. The total material energy remains intact even after being divided into 16 elements. The material body is nothing but the combination of the 5 gross elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Whenever there is a material body, it appears that such elements are newly created. But actually, the elements are always existing outside of the body. Similarly, although you have appeared as a child in the womb of Devaki, you are also existing outside. You are always in your abode. But still, you can simultaneously expand yourself into millions of forms. Just to understand by the grace of Krishna, how it is important to actually understand these pastimes, and how it is important to not misunderstand them as just some stories. One time, Narada Muni, he was going to visit Lord Vishnu. And on the way, then he had met one Brahmana. And the Brahmana, very respectfully, he said, "Oh, Naradaji, Hare Krishna. Where are you going?" And Narada Muni, then he had said, "Oh, I am going to see Lord Vishnu." And the Brahmana, he replied, "Oh, that's so wonderful. Please, may you ask a question to Lord Vishnu on my behalf. Please ask him, when will I be able to leave this material world?" And Narada Muni, no, very happily, he said, "Of course I will ask. Yes." Brahmana, "Thank you." So Narada Muni, then he continued. And there he saw there was a cobbler. Yes, thank you. And the cobbler, again, "Oh, Narada Muni, Hare Krishna. Where may you be going?" He said, "I am going to visit Lord Vishnu." "Oh, that's so wonderful. May you be so kind and ask, please, Lord Vishnu, a question on my behalf." "Yes, why not? What is the question?" "Please ask him, when will I be able to leave this material world?" And Narada Muni said, "Yes, of course, I will ask this question and I will let you know." So he continued. He went to Vaikuntha. He went to see the Lord. And they had some nice time. They had some discussions. And it was almost over. And Narada Muni remembered then the questions of the Brahmana and the cobbler. So he asked. And Lord Vishnu said, "Oh yes, I know them. That cobbler, yeah, he is a great devotee. This is his last lifetime. Just once this is over, he is going back to Vaikuntha." "Oh, okay, great. And what about the Brahmana?" "The Brahmana, unfortunately, he will not be able to go to Vaikuntha very soon." And why? Why is that? He is not so knowledgeable. He knows Shastras. He is doing so many, services. Why is it that he will not be able to leave this material world so soon?" "Okay, I'll make you understand. When you go back, you will meet them. And they will ask you, what was I doing? So just tell them that I was putting an elephant through an eye of a needle." "What? No, my word." Just tell them this. "Okay, yes, my lord, I will do." So then Narada Muni, now he goes back and then he sees the Brahmana. And the Brahmana, then he is asking, "So, Naradaji, had you seen the Lord? How was he?" "Yes, I had seen the Lord. Yeah. And he is doing very well." "And what was he doing?" the Lord, he was sitting and he was putting an elephant through an eye of a needle. The Brahmana. What? What nonsense? How is it possible? How can you, and just think, how can you take elephant and stuck him through an eye of a needle? It's not possible. No, this is just some allegory. It cannot be like that. I mean, you cannot do it, right? No, everything is just like a story or allegory. It cannot be like that. I cannot believe to that. And Narada Muni said, okay. He continued, and he had met the cobbler. And the cobbler, very respectful, Naradaji, please sit. Had you seen the Lord? And what was the Lord doing? Well, he was very transcendental. We had discussions, and the Lord, he was sitting and he was putting an elephant through an eye of a needle. And the cobbler, he thought, wow, this is so wonderful. Only the Lord can do things like that. This is something nobody else can do. And Narada Muni, do you believe it? Of course I can believe it. I believe it 100%. But how? I mean, elephant is so big and then eye of a needle is so small. Look at this. I am fixing the shoes here. Every day I sit down under this banyan tree. It's a huge banyan tree. The tree has thousands of fruits, the little red balls. And in each of them, there are thousands of seeds. They are very, very tiny. Smaller than poppy seeds. And he said, and in every seed, there is a tree like this big. So if you can fit such a huge tree in the tiny, tiny seed, why can't you put elephant through an eye of a needle? So Narada Muni, he understood. The difference was that the cobbler, he was surrendered. He had faith. Faith in Shastra, faith in Guru, faith in Sadhu. The Brahmana, even though he could memorize or he could recite all the Shastra, he had no faith. So the faith is the element which makes the difference, right? So today is the opportunity we can try to understand the Krishna Janma as it happened, that a child is being born and then he is decorated and he is dressed. It's not an allegory. That he is born with 4 hands, it's not imagination of someone. That's Krishna's pastime. That's how it happened. So to have faith, to accept it as it is spoken, that gives us the great opportunity to surrender, to perform service, and ultimately then to develop deep levels of bhakti, Krishna prema. So today, then we are going to be celebrating. The whole day, it's about Krishna. Starting by fasting, right? So everyone is fasting. Now, what's the purpose of fasting? Purpose of the fasting is so then we don't have to spend any time arrangements for ourselves. So cooking for ourselves, we can just avoid that. We can cook for Krishna. Eating, it's also taking some time. So if we can avoid it, then just utilize it otherwise. But if you are fasting just for the sake of fasting and trying to prove that you can fast, but to be able to fast, then you need to sleep and you need to do so many other things, just don't fast. Drink some water if you need to. Drink some or take some fruit, but perform services. Today is all about service. Try to be absorbed in those services. And if you can fast, great. If it's a disturbance, you may be getting headache or whatever, just eat a little bit. Ekadashi prasad, some fruits, drink some water, drink some juice, and continue doing your services. This is more important than just to prove to yourself or to somebody else, oh, I have fasted. But actually, from midday I had to sleep because I have such a headache and I was so tired. So keep that in mind. And today, there are so many dramas going to be, there are so many songs you will hear. It's going to be a wonderful celebration throughout the day. And at 10 o'clock, there is also yagya. We will be doing the samskaras. Samskaras for Lord Krishna. And Rupa Goswami, then he had written Krishna Jamatiti Vidhi. There is the Padati, how you say it, like a manual, how we can celebrate and everything described. And we will be doing samskaras from the book Satkira Sara Dipika, written by one of the Goswamis. And then in the book, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, then he is describing all the samskaras as they are supposed to be performed. And those samskaras are going to be, some of those are going to be done for Krishna today. So please be present. And how the Jata Karma, it's the first samskara. That's when Krishna is being born. Then you will see there is a golden spoon. And the baby, Krishna, then he's being fed. It's a mixture of rice and barley, powdered, with some ghee. So that's given very, very tiny bit to the baby. It's for strength of the baby, longevity, and intelligence. That's why the samskara is being given. Then another samskara then is that we will take Krishna for, first time going out. So there is the room which the baby is being born, So the mother and the baby, they spent few months in the room. The baby is not going out. But once the baby is able to, the senses are working well, so it's done after 3 months. So the baby goes out for the first time. And so the baby is taken to the temple. Why? Because the first time he sees. So whom he sees? The Lord. He is hearing. The senses get set properly by hearing kirtan. The sense of smell. Then he is smelling the incense, smelling the ghee within the temple. Then touch. He gets to touch the flowers, the Mahaprasadam of the deities. So that way, then the senses of the baby actually get properly set. The first impression is very important, actually the most important. So when the baby gets to see the Lord, gets to hear the kirtan, gets to smell the ghee, the flowers, so the baby gets more attached. And that's something very, very beneficial for a devotee. So then the next one, then in the the Namakarana, Krishna is being given his name. So at the time, then the father, he actually first pays respects to the deities, Ananta, Vamana, Vasudeva. He is respecting the Lord and he is praying, please give strength to my boy, give him long life. And then he whispers the name of his son to his wife, and then he whispers the name to the baby. So, and that's the Namakarana. Then the other samskara is Annaprashana, where the baby is being then fed the first grains. So again, the father, he is offering respect to the Lord. He is offering ghee and sweet rice to the Lord through the fire. And with the Mahaprasadam, then he is feeding the 5 life airs: prana, apana, vyana, udana, and samana. And to keep the baby Krishna protected, longevity, high vigor, and for that, then he is praying to the Lord to give, to protect the child. So, and this is the Annaprashana. Then before that also there is a Chudakarana, when the baby is shaved. So the baby then is shaved because the hair from the womb is considered unclean. So the baby is shaved, and then for the boy, then shika is left. But that way, then it's again for the purity, for the protection. And that way, then the father actually very much cares about his baby. So then the samskaras are the opportunities then to pray to the Lord, to protect the child, to give realizations, to give good health, to give good qualities as determination, focus, and all these through the Lord. So it's a part of devotional service. We should not think that these samskaras are just some rituals. No. It's a ritual, it's true. But the ritual is meant to change the consciousness, to elevate the consciousness. This is what the samskaras are about. And that's why there is the invocation, all these benedictions we are asking from the Lord, not for ourselves, but for the baby. And when done properly, so the samskaras work. That's a reality. And who benefits from the samskaras? The baby. So we should see, we should study, and we should take example of then how Krishna is receiving the samskaras. Then we should also be giving the same samskaras to our children. So that will be today at the yajna. And finally, now it will be concluded by Krishna getting Upanayanam. Then Krishna, when he grows up, then he's going to be a brahmachari, right, as a boy. So then he will receive his belt, kusha belt, for protection. He will receive his deer skin as a chadar. He will receive his upavita to be able to worship the Lord. He will receive then Gayatri mantra, and he will also receive a stick, danda, which is the knowledge. So, and he also has to promise that he will perform service. He will be doing achman for purification. That he will be restraining himself from sleeping during the day. And always ready to offer service. And then with that, then Krishna, he will go, and he will go for begging. So then another opportunity for devotees, to give some dakshina, and that way then that's the conclusion of these samskaras. Of course, then later on, there is a samavartana samskara, when the boy graduates from a Gurukul, and after this vivaha samskara, he gets married, and again it goes garbhana samskara, when he is conceiving a child, and it's go again and again and again. So Krishna is giving us such a nice example, then how we should do it, then we should see that we are doing it. Hare Krishna. So we will end here. Jai Shri Shri Krishna Janmatiti ki, Jai Shri Prabhupada ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Gopijana Vallabha Giridhari Gopijana Vallabha Giridhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tevana Chari Jamuna Tevana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavala Giridhari Gopi Janavala Giridhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tevana Chari Jamuna Tevana Chari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha. Jaya Radha, Jaya Radha, Jaya Radha, Jaya Sri Radha. Jaya Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva, Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hariba, 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 Bala Hariba. Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Astotra Satat Systematis of Angres is Confoundatory Srila Abhacharya Navina Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Astotra Satat Systematis of Angres Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavina Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Si Kahau Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Si Advaita Gatadhara Sivasadi Sigora Bhaktavin Ki Jai. Si Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Semakunda Radha Kunda Girika Pradhan Ki Jai. Sivandavan Dham Ki Jai. Si Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Si Jagannapuri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Yamuna Maya Ki Jai. Srimati Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Sri Krishna Janmastami Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to the sum of devotees. All glories to Sisi Gauranga Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasat Tato Jaya Mudirayat Nasta Paye Svabhadesu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavaiti Naistiki. Vanchakalpataribhyacha kripasundambhya evacha patitanam pavanambhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namo. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shemate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Itiname. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sonyavade Pasatyadi Satari. Magyana Tmirandasa Ganatana Salaka Saksur Malitam Yena Tismaya Sri Guru. So, again, we welcome everyone to this auspicious gathering. Today is, we won't say Krishna's birthday, but as we celebrated Krishna's appearance. Appearance is different from a birthday. Birthday connotes some, passage through seminal discharge and nurturing of the baby to maturity and all the rest. But as you all know, Krishna appeared. He was not born. He's Aja. So, let's get started. Lord Krishna mentions in the Gita, what's the famous verse? He said, he promised that when there is a degradation in human society, when there is a decline in religious practice. Yes. Can you speak so that everyone will hear you? Or you need a microphone? Yes. Do you need a microphone? Yes, tell us. What is that verse, that famous verse that Krishna promises to come?
Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
Translation?
Wherever.
Who can do the translation? Anyone to help with the translation? Give to the Mataji if nobody can do it.
Whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious practices and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I admit myself again and again.
Thank you very much. So Krishna does not just bluff. He says something, he sticks to his words. He implements. In America they say, you walk your talk. Krishna walks his talks. So, there was a time, right there in the Mathura district, very famous demoniac king called Kamsa was, very, he was reigning, and horrifying, getting involved in horrifying activities, terrorizing practically everyone around. Either you become his alliance or you're an enemy meant for extermination. But Kamsa had a chance to be able to do some service for his sister. And what's his sister's name? Yes, Mataji, this is a woman, so you should know. Yes, what is? Eh? Mother Devaki. Yeah, Mother Devaki was getting married. See, I ask because it's not that the person who is pinned on the answer knows better than everyone else. It's just a chance given to the person to render some service to the community of devotees. So all of you, practically, I mean, you know all of the stories about Krishna's appearance. So I like to sometimes, you know, pull the strings so that. So, when Devaki got married to Vasudeva, and she was being pulled home on a chariot, Kamsa requested to help with, you know, driving the chariot. So he was given that chance. But something happened along the way. As they were going, he had this pronouncement that the 8th child of Devaki would be the cause of his extermination. Would be the cause of his death. In other words, his nephew will kill him. So it sounds stupid to do a service that will facilitate your death. Who amongst us here will know that this service I'm doing is going to expedite or is going to facilitate my extermination, my death? Practically, many of us will not be able to get involved in such service. So when Krishna had this pronouncement, when Kamsa had this pronouncement, he was agitated. It was normal for him to be agitated as a conditioned soul, as a human being. Because we are all afraid of death. You tell me one person here who is not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of death. Raise up your hand. I think all of us are afraid of death. So, Kamsa was disturbed. And he thought, instead of waiting to be killed by my nephew, the 8th child, let me just kill this woman. And when he decided to do that, the husband of Devaki, the new groom, he did a lot of service. And what is that service he did? A lot of persuasion. He didn't force Kamsa, but in management science, we call it persuasion. You have to convince someone not to do something or to do something, but with logic and reasoning. So, Vasudeva engaged in a lot of persuasion for Kamsa to give up the idea of killing his wife or the sister. And eventually Kamsa gave in, but after when Vasudeva had convinced him that he will make provisions for him to kill all the children that will be born. He will arrange for him to kill all the children that will be born from this his sister. He'll bring them to him. And somehow or the other, Kamsa also believed Vasudeva. Because Vasudeva is a respectable person. When you have character, what you say, people believe in it. It might be a demon. Even a demon will believe what you say if you have a realized character, if you have an unshakable character. Therefore, Kamsa let go of the whole idea of killing let him wait. He decided to wait until, you know, the child is born. And eventually Nada, as a catalyst, came in, because when the fourth child was born, Vasudeva fulfilled his promise. He brought the child to Kamsa. But he thought, this is not the one who is going to kill me. So go with the child. It's not a problem. Demons also reason very nicely. It's not that, you know, because they are vast to Krishna consciousness, or they want to establish themselves as the supreme, that they don't reason. Sometimes they reason. So, there was a time that Narada Muni had to intervene, in quote, because he intervened, it was catalysis. It was just to speed up the process for Krishna to come. So he told Narada that, see, the Vrishnis, the demigods have already taken birth in Vrishna dynasty. What are you going to do? You don't know what is going to transpire. So Kamsa decided he has to kill all babies, irrespective of when the child was born and whether it was within the range of the age child who was going to kill him. So he sent out a lot of his friends, members of his alliance, to go and do this job. And, and he put Devaki and the husband into jail. And when they put them to jail, the whole idea was that so that they will be circumscribed, they will be restricted, they won't play any pranks, because, you know, the security, there's heavy security in the prison. So Kamsa was implementing the process of his protection. But you know what? No matter how we try to protect ourselves, when our day is due, it's mentioned, Mare Krishna Rakeke, Rake Krishna Mareke. If my day is due, if my time is up to live, even the best doctors cannot save me. The most expert mystics cannot save me. Why? Because they don't create life. And so, this scenario was going on, and each time a baby is born, Kamsa will exterminate the baby until it got to the 8th child. But then somehow or the other, when Krishna appeared, now keep in mind, Krishna appeared in the prison. First, Lord Krishna entered the heart of Vasudeva, and then from there he was transferred to Devaki's womb. Can you imagine that? It's not true seminal discharge. There's no true sex. Sometimes people don't seem to understand this detail properly, and they think that, oh, Krishna is just an ordinary powerful, ordinary powerful being. One of the gods of India, one of the gods of Hinduism. So, when Devaki was pregnant of a so-called pregnancy of Krishna, her whole body, her whole aura completely changed. And the demigods will come to shower flowers and give blessings because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is taking shelter of Devaki. And even when Krishna had to be born or to manifest, he came in a gigantic form in the prison. forearmed with weapons. And the parents pleaded that, see, we can't keep you as a baby, as our child, like this. Please turn to a baby. Be a baby, then we can nurse you. And Krishna turned to a baby. The people, the so-called atheists, they should understand how Krishna's appearance is beyond human reasoning. We never hear of such birds. And at the same time, Krishna had also appeared in Nandagram. So again, I was just listening to some interesting pastime about the Nandagram scenario, but it was a similar case. Krishna entered the heart of Nanda, and then from there was transferred to Mother Yashoda's womb. So when a child has to be born, a man and a woman have to meet. They have to have sex. And then there is exchange of fluids. There is pregnancy. But these birds are not like that. This appearance of the Lord is completely beyond the material conception of procreation. And so when people just understand, or when they read, I remember when we were distributing this Christian book, a lot of people, when they read about the wonderful appearance of Lord Krishna, they became devotees, because this is completely just too miraculous. In the Christendom, they talk about miracles, but what could be more of a miracle than this? Someone just manifests with weapons. And then the parents pleaded with him, please, we can't keep you like this in our house. Turn to a baby. And then he turned to a baby. But because of the persecution and prosecution of Kamsa, Krishna requested his parents to transfer him to Vrindavan, to Nandagram. And Vasudeva had to do that, execute that service, has to do that duty. Took him, crossed the Yamuna, and when even he got to the Yamuna, Yamuna gave way. Yamuna just gave way. Can you imagine a big river open up and it becomes a dry, that's a dry land, that's a road. That's a road. This is not the, under bridges. But the river is there. It just gave way for Nanda to go through with his child. And then eventually Nanda brought him to Nandagram. Vasudeva brought Krishna to Nandagram. And the whole scenario was so that the whole guards in the prison who were supposed to be guiding Devaki and Vasudeva, Devaki and Vasudeva, especially monitoring when Krishna will be born, they fell asleep. Krishna's mystic power. He said that he is the manifestation of all mystic cities. In fact, if you read the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are different types of cities. And Krishna is the embodiment of all those cities. You can become smaller than the smallest. And you see, this is how the mystics, they fool people, the general mass of people. You can just, the perfect mystics, they can just put up their hand, and then whatever they desire, it will be manifest in your palm. And so when you do that to the general mass of people, they will say, oh, is this an incarnation? So knowledge saves a lot. If even we are not pure, we should read Prabhupada's books so that we don't get cheated by anyone who comes to claim that he is God. So when Krishna was brought to Nandagram, at that time, the Krishna of Nanda was also born. And they both merged. And basically, the important factor is that Yoga Maya had to arrange for the transfer of Balaram, the seventh pregnancy of Devaki, to Rohini's womb. And that's how Balaram became born to Rohini. But actually, you know, is Devaki's child. Rohini, as you all know, or you all might have known, is also one of the wives of Vasudeva. She was sent, Vasudeva sent Rohini to take shelter of Nanda because of the persecution and prosecution of Kamsa. You know, one thing I like about Kamsa is that it's not like the modern terrorists who are suicide bombers. They are afraid. And they want to do something. They want to kill, but they want to also kill themselves. Kamsa was not like that. So, he will arrange for the extermination of babies and not being afraid of the repercussions. When people understand that Kamsa is just an empowered demon and that he could do anything and everything and perhaps even get away with it, they become scared. So, Krishna was born, and here, one of the things that we need to understand is that, in the Shastra it is mentioned, you know, we have linings on our palms. So if someone comes to claim that they are God, there is a basic description of what type of features, what type of symbols are there on Krishna's palm, and even his souls. Again, it's just by having this basic understanding, you can avoid being cheated by anyone who claims to be God. Forget about the universal form, because we know if you ask somebody, okay, if you say you are God, can you show me a universal form? They may speak philosophy. But if you just want to verify, and if you're discussing with the person and you watch the palm, and it's just like another palm like mine, then just push him aside. That this is a cheat. It's not God. And Krishna basically, when he appeared, it was an appearance that was replete with wonderful pastimes. And the whole idea was to be able to please his devotees. And the devotees, they don't have any business with anything else other than discussing or glorifying Krishna and in his different pastimes. And so as a baby, Mother Yasoda had a lot of rapport with Krishna. As he was growing up, he became so much involved in thievery, stealing. He was still border, and he was still denying that he never stole. And if you try to make some query, he will query you back that is belonging to him. You see, imagine a little child tells you, if he comes to steal something from you, and then you come to query the child, and this happens even with the neighbors. When they query Krishna of stealing from their butters, he will say that First, he will have to, get away, escape, and then he will say it belongs to him anyway. So, instead of getting angry, what happens? They became more and more loyal towards him in terms of affection and love. And Krishna was also very much argumentative. The ladies who are having children now, and you think that your child is naughty, try to read about Krishna's pastimes, so that you know that your baby is not naughty. So Krishna stole butter, and then he broke the pot, spilled it over, and Mother Yasoda comes. These are documented in literatures like the Ananda Vrindavan Champu and some other literatures by the 6 Goswamis and other acharyas. Krishna will steal the butter, break the pot of yogurt, and when Mother Yasoda comes to query him, he will say, it wasn't him. It was Mother Yasoda's ankle bells that broke the pot. When you came to chastise me and you were moving fast to the kitchen, your ankle bells break your pot. How could you say it's me? And he was very smart. He does one thing, but you cannot convict him. It's very difficult to convict him. In fact, even the reason why, one of the basic reason why Mother Yasoda bound him to a grandmother, yes, he was being naughty, but the specific reason was what ensued when they were having this small argument. Mother Yasoda said, "You just fond of monkeys. Why are you fond of monkeys? Are you having any relationship with monkeys in your past life? Why are you fond of monkeys?" And Krishna, took offense that, okay, if you say I am a monkey or I'm fond of monkeys, then I'll go to the forest. So Mother Yasoda thought afterwards, this boy, he can do anything. If he leaves for the forest, I am doomed. I better, now I'm going to leave him to go to do my chores. I better tie him up. It was out of that fear or fright that Mother Yasoda decided to tie up Krishna. And when they tied up Krishna, it was a whole drama. Essentially, the activities of Lord Krishna cannot be fathomed. If we have to go on discussing it, it could be, years. Because the whole of the 10th canto is basically about Krishna's activities, about Krishna's pastimes. And beyond even that, the Goswamis and the other acharyas, they have documented, I was reading the other day this Govinda Lilamrita, and Radha had 2 parrots, a male and female parrot. Now these 2 parrots were invited by the gopis, and they said, prompt by Vrinda, under the instruction of Radharani, that the parrots, they should come and glorify Krishna. We don't see modern parrots speaking and glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that scenario was so impressive that the parrot, when he was speaking, he said, this duty, this job you're asking me to do, gopis, this job you're asking me to do, it's like asking me to break a hard coconut shell with my pig. How is that possible? The Lord is unlimited, and I am so limited. How can I really glorify Him? But the point remains that, yes, the Lord is unlimited, and we are very limited. And so we could say, well, I can't really glorify the Lord. The Krishna requires of us, bam mana baba ma bhakto, bam yaji mam namasko. Always think of me. And he mentioned also in the Gita that his pure devotees are always discussing about him. They have pleasure in talking about him. When people come together, we talk about something. In most cases, we gossip. But the pure devotees, when they come together, is about Krishna Katha, discussing about Lord Krishna. So Krishna, in his childhood, is full of leelas. In the Puganda age and Kishore, they are all replete with leelas. The essential factor is how deep we get into those leelas. That's a significant factor. In fact, when a devotee is only interested in discussing about Krishna, that is a yardstick to show their advancement. Because even Krishna, we may discuss about Krishna, about his naughtiness or about his exalted position, how he cared, how he protected the citizens of Dwarka. But if we are only interested in discussing about Krishna, we are basically on a different dimension. And so the whole idea of Krishna consciousness is to be able to remember Krishna all the time and never to forget him. Smarta Vyat, Satatav Krishna, Vishmarta Vyat, Najata Sit. Krishna has made himself manifest. But then that is to our benefit, to fill the gap that we had over the years of simply wasting our life in discussing about mundane things instead of purifying our existence in discussing about the Lord. So, there was a time that Lord Krishna needed pearls to decorate his cows and calves. So he went to meet the gopis. The gopis were singing some pearls. He went to many gopis and asked that they give him some pearls. But the gopis completely ignored him. They were adamant. So Krishna decided that he will grow pearls. So he went to meet his mother. That, Mama, give me some pearls. I want to grow some. It was like a joke. So the mother tried to convince him that, we don't grow pears. We don't grow pears. That is not, pears don't come out from the ground. They are not like food crops. But Krishna kept agitating and disturbing, so the mother gave in. Imagine when you have a child, and you know that what the child is asking for is just impractical. It will yield no results. But out of love, she gave in. Mother sort of gave in. He gave the pears. And Krishna, in accompaniment of his friends, they went to make some garden of pears. And so when the gopis heard about that, they were just amused. They were just laughing at them and saying, what is this? This is just a waste of time that they are involved in. But you know what? To demonstrate his position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they keep watering the pearls, taking care of the pearls, and then they started sprinkling them. And then the gopis, they thought, or in fact, overtly even they mentioned that they're just weeds. They're not pears. But eventually, the harvest came up, and they started to harvest them. And everyone from Vrindavan was amazed, was surprised. So the gopis also thought, we will also grow pears. Why not? Why not? So they collect all the pearls from their homes, gather them together, and, develop a garden to be able to plant them. They planted them, but nothing came out. And then they accused Krishna and his Gopal friends that they went to steal their pearls. They went and removed them and threw them in the Jamuna. But this accusation had no ground. There was no evidence. Eventually, the gopis had to come to beg Krishna to give them pearls. And he said that they should buy. He made Sudam, I think Sudam, to be like the financial secretary. He should be in charge. And he said, it's not my business. Go and meet Sudam. Arrange with him, pay the appropriate price, and then you buy. So that wasn't working out because the gopis didn't have money. They tried to do whatever was the needful, but it never worked out. Eventually, Krishna gave in, and then they supplied the pearls to the gopis. Now, the lesson to this is that when someone seeks help from us, we should understand that that is a need. And we should try to see that we help the person. Because we can never tell what happens. We may be, in the next event, we may be the ones to go and beg that person. So the gopis, they refused completely. They were making jest of Krishna and his friends. That all those things they were involved in, planting pearls, it's just a waste of time. But they came to beg for Krishna to give them some pearls. And Krishna is very willing to come to his devotees. If even we are not situated in a position where we have access to Krishna or we are free, it's like some people have seen, some devotees have seen in America, they are born in families where the parents are not devotees. And I know one girl specifically, that parents are not devotees, and then each time she has to chant, she will go to the toilet in the dead of night to chant. And then the mother wakes up, goes to check in her room, she's not there, she goes to break the toilet. And the devotee is there chanting, and the mother, the non-devotee, will beat the hell out of her. So, for the devotees who are even eager to meet with Krishna and they don't have the opportunity, it's just like the Vrajabasis, the gopis. They were so eager to meet with Krishna, but they were so much circumscribed, they were so much restricted. And you know what Krishna did one time? Abhimanyu had come to Mother Yasoda, and Mother Yasoda is very much lovely disposed to Radharani. So Abhimanyu came, and Krishna also knows very well that Radha and the gopis, they are always very much in anxiety about how they could really reach out to him, how they could see him. So Abhimanyu came, and Yashoda decided to send some jewelries, a box loaded with jewelries to Radharani. So as the box was being filled up, Krishna and his friends, they were also there. Dhanishta was there helping out with, packing, loading the box. And then, as soon as Mother Yashoda stepped out, Krishna told his friends to remove all the jewelries and put him inside the box and lock it up. So his friends did that. And when Abhimanyu came, unknown to Mother Yashoda, that Krishna has removed all of the jewelries, he's fixed himself there, His friends have locked him up. Unknown to Mother Yasoda. So, Mother Yasoda told Abhimanyu, I've got a box load of jewelries for your wife. So please kindly take this to her. But do not open this box. You go straight to her chambers, and she should be the one to open the box. So Mother Abhimanyu was very much excited. And then he was helped to put the box on his head, and then he went all the way to Yawat. And the box was terribly heavy. So he went, and he was so much excited. But Krishna was doing whatever that was necessary to be able to alleviate the heaviness. And then eventually he came home, and he went straight to Mother Yasoda, to Radharani's chambers, where she was with all of her friends. He went in there. He went in there and, delivered the box with a message from Yasoda that this box is containing some jewelries for Radharani. And so Abhimanyu left, and when Radharani and the gopis came to open the box, Krishna jumped out. That was Krishna. So they said, hey, this box was filled with jewelries. You stole Radharani's jewelries. How is that? And Krishna said, oh, you people arranged to kidnap me. How is that? So in this way, Krishna would do anything, and he has always a way of, protecting himself, defending himself. But essentially, the point here is, this was one of the pranks that was documented by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Essentially, Krishna wanted to meet with the gopis. Krishna wanted to meet with Radharani. And here is a chance for him to be able to do that by inconveniencing himself. If you lock up someone in a box and it's reported to the cops, that's a serious crime. But Krishna was ready to accept all of that inconvenience to be able to meet with his devotees. So Krishna can accept any inconvenience to be able to make himself available to his devotees, including all of us. We may say, oh, but then the gopis, they were special souls. Essentially, we have to understand that when a pastime is enacted, there are also lessons to learn from it. It's not that we just recite the pastimes, get ourselves purified, but what do we get home with? What is the lesson? What positive change will this have in our lives if we have to understand the depth of that very pastime? So here, Krishna inconvenienced himself to be able to meet with his devotees. And just like he did that over 5,000 years ago, he is still ready to do that with anyone and everyone who is desperate about Krishna, about realizing Krishna. I remember a case, one of the gopis, she was so much absorbed in Krishna, but again, circumscribed, highly restricted. So she went to the nearby village. This was also documented in Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj's Govinda Lilamrita. He went to some nearby village. She went to some nearby village, and one old woman came caressing her body, her hand. So she thought, what is this? But then later she realized that Krishna had changed to this, has transformed to this old woman and coming to give a darshan. So she said, oh, my rendezvous with my lover has attained maturity, and here you have come to be able to, give me a darshan. So Krishna is ready to do anything for us. Just to be able to become available for us, he could do anything. And therefore, it is important for us to do whatever is needful as far as we are concerned, to be able to figure out how we get to the supreme destination. Krishna is the facilitator. So these brief stories, they show how Krishna is ready for us more than we are even ready for him. Any comments or questions? The time is up. It's supposed to be 8:30. What is the time there? 8:30? Oh, that's beyond, it's even beyond the time. I even forget, I was thinking it's 9 o'clock, but yes. Any comments or questions? Thank you very much for coming to participate in this Krishna consciousness. Sri Krishna Janmashtami ki